Private First Class Alex Knapp was just 22 years old when his truck was hit by an EFP, or explosively formed penetrator, while serving his country in Iraq. After being evacuated from the scene, Alex soon lost consciousness and awoke 9 days later at Walter Reed Hospital in Washington, D.C. to learn that he had lost both of his lower limbs. Determined by the brave young man who had given so much for his country, several Michigan Masons joined forces to come to his aid.
January 2007, I joined the Army and left for basic training. I joined the Army because I knew if I didn't, it was something I was going to regret. I've always wanted to be in the military, and it reached a point where it was a good time for me to go. In December 2007, we deployed to Iraq. March 14, 2008, I was hit by an IED. The day I got hit, we were driving to Baghdad because my commander had a commander's call, which is a meeting of all the company commanders, and he had to get to Baghdad, and we were also dropping off myself and another person from my squad to go home on leave. We were hit by, it's called an EFP, and the way it works is when it blows up, there's a plate of copper in front of the actual explosive, and it forms basically a giant projectile that will literally tear through armor. From there, I went to Germany. They were trying to stabilize me to get me back stateside to Walter Reed. They were also going to amputate my legs. We were going to go to Vegas, my dad and I, and when they got the phone call, they were actually expecting it to be me saying, "Hey, I'm in Kuwait." And instead, is this Mr. and Mrs. Knapp, and is this your address? And then they told them, so it was really, really hard on them.
I'm a member of the Lewis Cass Society, and Worshipful Brother Craig Mason invited me to a rather small meeting to meet some of the brothers from Utica Macomb. I met Jim Gardini there, and he had talked about Alex Knapp at that meeting, and they were doing a spaghetti dinner for him. I had thought, possibly Royal Oak would be likely like to be involved in that to raise some money for Alex. I brought it back to the lodge here, discussed it in open lodge. We thought we'd have a Hawaiian luau. The Utica Macomb, they came down and attended our luau. Our wives, our members became involved, our children became involved. We had a couple of hula dancers come in and show the people how to hula dance, which wasn't very good. And Alex and his family came down. It was enjoyable meeting them, and it was a nice evening. Our lodge raised $3,480. Now, Utica Macomb, they raised another $3,000 with matching funds. I'm a member of the Michigan Masonic Motorcycle Association, and I brought it up at one of our meetings, and they donated $1,000 towards it. So in all, the two lodges and the Motorcycle Association, we had a little over $7,000. And I had the honor and the privilege to present him with that check. And if anybody ever wonders why we do charitable work or we do fundraisers, the look on Alex's face said it all. We didn't have to say any more.
The fundraisers helped my family in general, not just me, because my mom lived with me in D.C. for 9 months. So she wasn't able to work, and it wasn't easy on my family. So it helped with not only bills and keeping my parents in a house, it helped with us coming home and being able to see everybody, and it made everything a lot easier to deal with.
Veterans give up so much for us and they ask for so very little. And I thought, here's a young man that has lost his legs for us in Iraq. Why don't we get together and try to do something for him? And I was amazed at when I heard about the attitude he had and the positiveness he had. I thought, this is a young man we really want to get involved with, get to know, and try to help.
It does take a special type of person to be in the military, especially to be completely committed to military. And I'm thankful to have been one.
Diagnosed with leukemia when he was just 2 years old, Ethan LaForme was forced to undergo extensive cancer treatments that threatened to cripple his family emotionally and financially. What happened instead is a testament to the power of partnership and the Masonic legacy of giving.
Ethan was diagnosed with non-Hodgkin's lymphoma, T cell type. When he was 2, we had our doubts that he was going to make it through the first week, and we went day by day, just hoping everything would be okay so that, he could beat cancer.
When he was diagnosed, they did tell us very, very plainly that it is a 2-year treatment, that we would be done, February 14th of 2010. And at that time, he was just turning 2, and I was focused on seeing him turn 4. We actually, turned in both of our vehicles. We did any kind of cuts we could to our household, lived completely different than what we had lived before.
I had to leave my job to stay home with Ethan, just because of all his treatments, making sure he doesn't get sick, trying to do the best that we can.
During Ethan's fight against cancer, a group of Masonic lodges became aware of his struggle. Together, they held a number of highly successful fundraisers on his family's behalf. Combined with funds donated by the Michigan Masonic Charitable Foundation, Ethan's family was able to keep their home, pay their medical bills, and keep their lives afloat during this difficult time.
Well, since we made the video on our story last year, we've completed our 2nd year of chemo, and everything was completed on Valentine's Day of 2010. We stopped the cancer treatment, but we're embracing our new normalness. I'm back to school, trying to get my degree. My husband is working and everything's on track for that. Emily is in 8th grade. She's involved in sports and she's keeping herself very busy. Ethan should be starting preschool in the fall.
He can't wait to go to school. He's going to be starting school next fall, so he's looking forward to that. He talks about that almost daily. So he's going to be able to go run and just be a normal kid running around in his school. Laura and I are looking forward to that so much. For every Mason that contributes to the foundation, it makes a difference. You may not see it, and you may not be aware of what the difference it is, but it makes a huge difference to the people that the foundation supports.
Not only did they help us financially and through support, that we were able to basically keep our house, and we were able to spend the 80 days overnight that first year with Ethan in the hospital, and all the treatment and all the costs, and we didn't have to worry about it. But also in the same token, they've become like extended family.
Perhaps no one fits that description better than Leon Richardson. Leon first brought Ethan's story to the attention of the Masons, and his selfless efforts created strong emotional ties to the LaFormes that enriched not just their lives, but his as well.
If I never do anything in Masonry, again, this will be the moment I remember from my Masonic career. I'm just glad that they're a part of my life. They've helped me as much as I've helped them.
Sadly, on June 12, 2009, Leon passed away. Leon Richardson's legacy of giving continues to inspire new community fundraising efforts within the Michigan Masonic community. To the LaFormes, his memory will always be tied to the outpouring of support they received during their time of need.
I miss Leon very much. It's hard to even talk about it. He was so instrumental in bringing so many wonderful people into our lives that changed our lives. And we took his death very hard, but he did definitely, change our lives, and we're better just for knowing him. And I know there's a lot of other people that are as well. A couple weeks before we last saw him, we were at a dinner with him, and he had brought an application, and he wanted to have it, completed and everything, because my husband had expressed an interest in joining one of the Mason groups, and one of the lodges. And so he went around and took care of it all that night with Tony, and it was all done. So it was kind of interesting that right before the last time we saw him, he kind of sealed up that, make sure that Tony was set up in the lodge.
What inspired me to become a Mason was the interaction of all the Mason brothers and their families to get behind, particularly us, and support us. And they didn't know us from, any other family, but everybody came together and just provided love and support. And that's one of the things that was key in joining the Masons, was I wanted to be a part of that, so that one day when somebody else needs it, we can provide the same love and support, that they provided us.